What is going on YouTube? Running Sports back here with another video. Today is our Detroit Lions off-season team review. And the Lions had a struggling year last year, and so we're here to talk about it. And they've had a lot of changes and still some NBA playoff action going on with the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks last night defeated the Brooklyn Nets by just 3 points. A very low scoring 86 to 83 game, and now 2-1 game, or 2-1 series, with the Nets leading 2 games to 1. And then the Clippers Jazz game 2, Utah Jazz took that one 117 to 111. And we'll see if the Clippers can make a epic comeback like last time when we thought that they were going to be done. And maybe they will this time, maybe they won't. I don't think they will versus the Jazz, or they're going to have to start winning some games, and it's going to have to be the next game they play. And then tonight, the 76ers versus the Atlanta Hawks, series tied 1-1. I do think that the Atlanta Hawks are going to win that series. I'm a big fan of Trae Young. Always been a fan of the Hawks, but I really like Trae Young. And then the Suns currently leading 2-1, 2-0, with with the third game tonight versus the Denver Nuggets. And the Nuggets, not looking that good versus the Suns. The Suns are looking very good, so we'll see what happens there. With that being said, if you have not already, please follow our social media pages at @runningun_sports and at @runningunsports on TikTok. Be the first to know when we post our videos. And so with that being said, let's get right into it with our first NFC team review of this off season, with the Detroit Lions going 5-11 last year. And not the greatest year, but 7 of the 11 losses they had were to playoff teams. So that's honestly not that bad of a that's not that bad of a stat. And they beat the Chicago Bears, they beat the Washington football team. Those are two playoff teams, and they also beat the Arizona Cardinals. Those are 3 teams. 2 of them are in the playoffs. The Cardinals were about a game away from the playoffs. So, that's pretty impressive considering the fact that they're a 5-11 team and they had such an early draft pick. But 7 of 11 of your losses were to playoff teams. I think that that's not that bad of a stat. And the games that they won were games that they should have won. And some of them they had upsets. They defeated the Falcons. That's an easy game that they should win. The Jaguars, it's a game that they should win. And the Bears and the Washington football team and the Cardinals, those are games that you're not expected to win. And so I think that they honestly they're better than what their record says, in my opinion. And that's a pretty tough schedule to have to go against 13 playoff teams. And if I'm not mistaken, 13 playoff teams, that's all your games being playoff teams, but 3 of them. And that's crazy, and that's extremely impressive for them. So that's their record is not how good they are. They had a very tough schedule, and I think they'll bounce back this year, and I think that they'll have a lot better of a season this year than they had last year. Do I think they can make the playoffs? No, but I think that they can improve off of a season that was not very good. But at the same time, you got to look at the facts that 11 or 7 of their 11 losses were to playoff teams. So that's not the worst thing in the world at all. And moving on to Matthew Stafford, we're going to be talking about him. Obviously traded to the Los Angeles Rams. We'll be talking about that a ton in this video. The Stafford, Jared Goff trade, 2020, 4,084 yards, 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 68.4 QBR. And I hear the argument that Matthew Stafford is, quote unquote, the most underrated quarterback, which I think is just one of the worst arguments I've heard. And here's why. Calvin Johnson, one of the best receivers we've seen in modern history, on Matthew Stafford's team, they didn't do anything at all. And people are like, oh well, he wasted his career. Calvin Johnson should have left the team. And I don't disagree with you. I think that Matthew Stafford wasted Calvin Johnson's career. And but those are the same people who say Matthew Stafford's underrated. So that just makes no sense to me. And I don't understand why people would say that Matthew Stafford's not that good. You look at the stats. He's not a top 10 quarterback, and maybe he's a franchise quarterback at most. I mean, 12th in most of the stats. That's the best that he was ranked on his stats. And it's okay. It's good, but not great at the end of the day. And that's what Matthew Stafford has always been, and what he always will be. And I think that people saying that the Rams going to the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford is complete BS. And I don't believe that at all. I don't. He's not that guy. And Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford are decently similar players at the quarterback position. And if Jared Goff can't get it done, who's way younger than Matthew Stafford, then why can Matthew Stafford get it done? And Matthew Stafford has done nothing in his career. Jared Goff has made it to a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford has not. So I think that they're just Matthew Stafford is overrated, and you know, I that's just my opinion. Some people will disagree, but I think he's extremely overrated. And talking about Jared Goff now, and we've all known that Jared Goff, he's lived off of his defenses, and the Rams obviously, in my opinion, the best defense in the league probably, and 2020 Jared Goff 3,952 yards, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 58.5 QBR. Those stats are terrible. They're awful. 23rd in the NFL for quarterbacks is in the bottom half of the league, obviously. 31st in the NFL for interceptions is horrible. Horrible. Absolutely terrible. That's almost dead last. You're one away from being dead last. You're second to last. Good job. Um, 19th in touchdowns. That's not that. That's in the bottom half of the league as well. And the only good spot is his yards. So good job. But you turn the ball over the second most in the NFL. So it's kind of an asterisk behind how many yards you have. And I do applaud Jared Goff. His wide receiving core is not the greatest, and I think that obviously this is no secret that Jared Goff is not a good quarterback, and I think that the numbers show, the numbers don't lie, the rankings of where he stacks up with the other NFL quarterbacks don't lie, and it shows you that he's not as good as people think, and he's not a good quarterback at all. And I think that that's what the Lions are used to, and I'm shocked that they trade Matthew Stafford for him. And I think that out of the two quarterbacks in this situation, I think that Matthew Stafford's definitely going to a better situation, just due to the fact the defense, and Jared Goff is in a really unfortunate spot. He's going to go from taking his team to the playoffs, uh, going to the divisional round of the playoffs, to not making the playoffs. And it's not going to be his fault. I'm sure he'll put very similar stats up next year, but you know what? He won't have the same good defense. So that's that's what it all comes down to. Jared Goff can't do anything without his defense. Maybe Matthew Stafford will take the Rams pretty far, but do I think that they can make it to the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. That's no, no way. And so the Lions new head coach Dan Campbell, former NFL tight end, recently the Saints tight end coach for 4 years. His 12th year as a coach in the NFL coming up, and he started with the Dolphins, and then ended up with the Saints, and he was the assistant. He was an interim head coach with Miami for a year, then became the assistant head coach with Sean Payton, and then now obviously on to the Detroit Lions. And I think that Dan Campbell is going to be very good for the team. Obviously everyone saw the press interview he had when he first was introduced. He's an old school type of guy. He played in the NFL. He played tight end in the NFL, and I think that his spirit is good. I think it's great, and I think that he'll do as well as his team does. And how long do I think he can stay in Detroit? I think he could have double digit in years there, and I think that he'd have no problem being in Detroit for 10 years. And I think that they just gotta figure out there's not many weapons for Stevers right now after losing Kenny Galladay, and I think that it won't be that bad. And I think that he likes to give it to you straight up. He's not gonna sugarcoat anything or anything like that. So I think that that's what they need, and Detroit knows that they haven't been a good football program, team, whatever you want to say, forever. So I think that Dan Campbell can do very well with this Lions team. It just comes down to whether they're how well the players work together and whatnot. Moving on to free agency, so I mentioned losing wide receivers, but they did pick up Tyrell Williams from the Raiders, and he's okay. He's not great. He's no Kenny Galladay. He's not the same age as him, and so I think that that's a replacement, but it's not the best replacement, and that's just how it goes when you lose a good player like Kenny Galladay. I don't think Kenny Galladay is really. I think he's a little overrated in my opinion, but I think that definitely Tyrell Williams is not on the same level as him. Jamal Williams, Packers running back, they signed for a 2-year deal. Quinton Dunbar, Seahawks cornerback, they signed for a 1-year deal. Obviously, Jared Goff comes over from the trade. They lose Matthew Stafford with the Jared Goff trade. Lose Desmond Trufant to the Chicago Bears. Kerryon Johnson, which is a big loss. He's a young guy who's very good. I had him on my fantasy team. He did great, and that's a huge loss. And just losing him hurts them a lot. Jamal Williams on the Packers, I think he'll do quite well. The Packers really, honestly, if they don't have that, their backfield is insane. It's overlooked, and I think that's why Aaron Rodgers and the Packers don't win Super Bowls is because they have so much talent. You have A.J. Dillon, who is, I think, one of the best rookie running backs last draft class, and he came in the NFC Championship game, the late playoff push, and he did great. And but you also have Aaron Jones, who had one of the greatest running back seasons just a couple or just 2 years ago. So I think that that's where the mix up or what the disconnect is with the Packers, and I think that that's definitely what it is. You have three great running backs, and I think that that's what happens when you have a quarterback who's an MVP quarterback, and you got to decide, do you want to go with the run game or the passing game? And that's a tough decision at the end of the day, and I wouldn't want to be the one to make that decision, and I don't really blame Matt LaFleur for going to a more pass-heavy offense with Aaron Rodgers as your freaking quarterback. I mean, come on now, he's a great quarterback. I mean, he won the MVP this year, but he wants out, so we'll see what happens there. Cornerback, or excuse me, wide receiver Mohamed Sanu left for the 49ers. Another big loss at wide receiver. And looking at the draft, Penei Sewell from Oregon. I hate this pick so much. And the Bengals were the team that I wanted to see pick up Penei Sewell for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, obviously, had the horrible injury, and because his O-line sucked, and he was having a great season as well. I think he had a chance to win Rookie of the Year, and he was under duress. He's taking some awful hits, and you kind of felt bad for the guy. And I think that if they had Penei Sewell to the team, that it would have definitely helped. And adding Jamar Chase is not going to help him take any less hits. And so I really hate that choice by the Bengals. But the Lions, the reason I hate this is they need weapons. Jalen Waddle was still around. Devontae Smith was still around. They could have easily gotten those guys. And instead of picking up a weapon that they need for a quarterback who has never really had a true legit weapon, they pick up a frickin' offensive lineman. And what is he going to protect? Jared Goff, who throws the second most interceptions in the league? I mean, give me a break. That's ridiculous. That's a horrible decision. And That's just bad front office choice right there, and I hate it so much. And I want the Lions to be good. I like Dan Campbell as a coach, but they're not going to do good with stupid decisions like that. And that's what, you know, boils my blood, whatever you want to say. It's just frustrating. And I hate the Bengals pick even more for picking Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, so overrated and will not, it's not going to help Joe Burrow. I mean, if we see Joe Burrow have another season-ending injury, then what are we going to blame? We're going to know that it's because of the draft pick. And they picked up a frickin' wide receiver when they don't really need a wide receiver. But, I guess I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm there in the front office, I'm not, and, that's what it is. Talking about their fifth round draft pick, another pick that I like actually, Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver from USC. I'm a big fan of this guy coming out of college, and I think that he'll do very good. And he's no Jalen Waddle, obviously, but he's a guy like Devontae Smith, and in a way where you can double team him, and he'll still score 3 touchdowns on you. And he's very impressive. He can make some great catches, run after catch. He's just an all-around great receiver, and I'm really impressed with him in the college season. I can't wait to see what he does this year in the NFL. So that will wrap it up for today's video. You guys have not already, please leave a like down below, subscribe, share this with friends, and we'll be releasing our NFL news video on Sunday. And Tuesday, get ready for our college football news video. We have some college football news to talk about, and some news that I think that shouldn't even be in the news. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a nice day.